This is kind of a continuation video on one that I did some time ago on detecting pregnancy in dogs. And I had quite a few questions came out of that. And so I thought, let's have another bash of this, give a bit more detail. So why would you want to do this? Well, because you want to know whether your dog's pregnant, you want to know how many puppies are on board. And you would also like to know when the due date is, but unfortunately, none of these tests are going to help you with that. So these are just predict number of puppies and whether she's pregnant. All right, so 4 techniques. Ultrasound, which is where you go in and they have a kind of a machine with a head on it. They put some jelly on her belly and they use ultrasound waves, completely painless to the dog. You can't hear them. And from that, they can then do a visual impression of what's going on inside the dog. Relaxin blood test. You draw blood, you put it into a little cassette, and it tells you go, no go. X-ray. You can't do X-rays until later on in pregnancy, but an X-ray is a reliable method of seeing whether the dog is pregnant, the number of puppies are on board. And then visual signs. So we're going to talk about all of these, which ones work, what their reliability is, when you should do them, and approximately what they cost. Let's start with the zero cost one, visual signs. Okay, pretty reliable, especially if you've got a dog that's never had puppies before, a maiden dog, because before they get bred, their nipples are absolutely flat against their chest. They do not have protruding nipples. Dogs that have been bred before, they do retain some of their nipple elongation after they've had puppies. So that's a good sign. If you look at a dog that's got bigger nipples, that is a sign that dog probably had puppies before. But if you've got a dog that's never had puppies before, and those nipples start to grow, maybe 3-4 weeks after the AI, it's a good chance that she's pregnant. What are other signs of a pregnant dog? She gets morning sickness. Typically 2 to 3 weeks after pregnancy, she gets lazy, she doesn't want to eat as much food, she might vomit. Those are all fairly good indications that possibly a dog is pregnant. Then of course you've got other things like swelling, the dog's tummy gets bigger. Depends on the number of puppies. You have a single puppy in there, you may not be able to tell that at all. If it's 5 weeks into this, you should hopefully see some kind of a increase in her girth. Not from the chest, but her tummy, good indication that she's pregnant. You might see some discharges. Discharges that are pus-like are dogs that probably are pregnant, but maybe have pyometria, and that's a serious situation, and you need to go look at my videos on pyometria. Dogs that have a mucousy, jelly-like discharge from their back end, that's called the mucus plug, another good sign a dog is pregnant. You typically don't see that until you're like 10 days or later toward the actual birth date. So that'd be day 50 onwards. So visual signs, great. So one of the questions here is, why are you even doing this? So for me, I'd like to know whether the dog is pregnant. I'm not too worried about the number of puppies that are going to be had, because we're having a C-section, and it's kind of like Christmas. You don't open the presents up before Christmas Day. Don't really need that visual indication. I don't really need that indication of how many puppies on board. But certainly visual signs give you an idea. I mean, I can tell you this. I know French Bulldogs so well that I can look at a French Bulldog and I'll probably get it right within one puppy of how many puppies are on board. Unless it's a one puppy situation, and that one you might miss. But nothing wrong with visual signs. One thing that you do want to be careful on this is don't get into the situation where you need a C-section if the dog is pregnant. You don't think the dog is pregnant and in fact has a single puppy inside that she now delivers in the middle of the night when you're not ready for it. So in those situations, then there is this one as a solution. So let's talk now about X-rays. An X-ray is only of value when the bones of the fetus has calcified enough to show up on an X-ray. You've got to be about day 50 into this. So 10 days before you're going to have puppies would be a time to do an X-ray. When would I do an X-ray? For me, only one time. If I'm not sure that she's pregnant, I'll have an X-ray done. I don't want to get in that situation we talked about on the visual where the dog is in fact pregnant and we missed it and we now get into trouble. And remember, there's a problem as well with small litters, singleton puppies. They tend to go long on their pregnancy. They tend to be bigger puppies. And And you can get into trouble where you take puppies early with singletons because they've actually going to be in there longer. And typically the reason for a singleton is you bred you bred early. And because you bred early, you get a small litter. So there are some issues with singleton puppies, and an X-ray avoids the mistake of not having a C-section when you need it, or having a C-section when you didn't need it, which is also not a good situation. All right, what's it X-ray cost? $50, $100, might be charged for a vet visit as well, might have another $100 on top of it. So total cost for an X-ray, somewhere between a low end of 50 and a high end of maybe as much as $200. So that's kind of the range you'd expect to pay. And you know, it's really pretty reliable. Typically they'll take two views, one view from the side, one view from the top. And using that, you get a pretty good idea of how many puppies are in there. You can see skulls and spines. But it's not 100% reliable in terms of the number of puppies, because they can get hidden behind other things, especially in larger litters. You've got 8 puppies in there, it may be hard to tell whether or not you really have 8 puppies. But you'll know she's pregnant, because you already know that, by the way, because the dog looks like a basketball. So, you know, anyway, there's X-rays. Okay, so Relaxin pregnancy test. So I'm going to show you this. So we sell these on My Breeder Supply. I think it's $85 for a 5 count. So that's about what, $17 a test. They've got a shelf life of between 1 and 2 years. What you get is you get these little cassettes, and this cassette has, let's see if you can see it here. If you can see that or not. Okay, there's a window, that's where you put this plasma in, and then it's got 2 lines. The first line tells you whether the test is valid, and the second line tells you whether the dog is pregnant. How Relaxin works is the placenta that is connected to each puppy produces relaxin as a hormone, and you can detect that in the blood. Now with humans, you can have a pee test. We don't have those for dogs yet. You have to draw blood. The kit that you buy from us comes with needles and syringes. You will have to draw blood. It's pretty easy to do. I've got videos on doing that. But you know, it's certainly not as easy as just taking your dog to the vet and letting them do it. You draw the blood, you have to spin the blood down. You can either use a centrifuge, or you can use nothing more than the ceiling fan. You take a few drops of that blood, it comes with a little pipette with it. You drop that into the little window, you wait 5 minutes. You'll see one line appears right away, or within 30 seconds, that tells you the test is good. The second line is a go, no-go. If the line appears, even the faintest of lines, that dog is pregnant. Now, what's been my success rate on this? Very, very good. I have never had a false positive on a Relaxin pregnancy test. I've never had a dog that showed up as being pregnant when it wasn't. That's never happened to me. False negatives, that does happen, and typically when it happens, it's because you have not waited long enough to do the Relaxin pregnancy test after AI. You need to wait, in my opinion, it says 24 days. I never do one until I'm at least 30 days, and even 35 days. Much more reliable. For me, the success rate with Relaxin blood test has been really wonderful, especially if you wait till day 35 to do the test. It's cheap, $17. Do you have to draw blood? Not that difficult. Probably a skill that you should learn anyway. Can go to the vet and have it done. It's going to cost you a lot more money. You're going to be in it for $100 and maybe a vet visit again. And you're back to this exposing your dog to other potentially sick dogs. So I'm not a big fan of going to the vet for this, but you know, they each to their own on that. You know, that's your decision. Pay more money, let somebody else muck around with pulling the blood. Get the results within, 10 minutes of you being in the vet's office or when you've seen the vet. Going to cost you more money, but I like Relaxin tests. Will not tell you how many puppies are on board. Only go, no go, but very reliable. Okay, and then this is the one that I never do, but lots of vets have got expensive ultrasound machines and they would like you to do it. So, what are the pros and cons of an ultrasound? There's a lot of interpretation that goes on with looking at ultrasound. The skill level of the technician performing the ultrasound is paramount. The type of machine they're using, whether it's a new modern machine versus an older machine, makes a big difference. So what can happen with an ultrasound? So I've looked at some data on this, and the trouble with this is you get so much information that you don't know what really the truth is. And so I'm going to combine what I've read with anecdotal evidence from what I know about my customers, because I've been involved in some 7,000 breedings. Ultrasounds, especially when they're done around between day 24 and day 30, are notoriously unreliable. In fact, I saw some statistic that said 40% success rate on detecting pregnancy. That's pretty crappy. I don't know if it's really that low, but I think the number would probably be, in terms of what I see from my customers, is more like 60 to 70% accuracy rate. That's anecdotal. Certainly I don't have anything, real hard numbers to back that up. But this is what I do see. They say the dog is pregnant and it's not. Why would that happen? Because they're looking at fecal matter. Remember, when a dog is a pregnant dog is 24 days into pregnancy, the size of the fetus is about that. It's about 1 inch, about the size of a walnut. And that can be mistaken for lumps of poop inside the animal. So I think that is one of the reasons. So what you hear is, oh, your dog's pregnant. And then they say, oh, I think we see 3 or 4 puppies. Then the dog's not getting any bigger, and you go back, a month later, and there's no puppies. And then the explanation is, oh, she absorbed the puppies. It's possible. I don't think so. I don't think that's what happened. I think they got it wrong in the first place. If they're doing a ultrasound and they're detecting heartbeats, now that is a lot more reliable. And I don't know how long you've got to be in this process and what kind of machine you have to detect heartbeats. Probably day 35 or something. Now that is a lot more reliable system. If you don't detect a heartbeat, then you're back to this false negative situation. If you do detect a heartbeat, then that's probably okay, and you're probably not going to get false positives on that. So an ultrasound, although they say you can do it as early as day 21, I think that's way too early, and I would be waiting till you're like day 35 on the ultrasounds. What's that one going to cost you? $100 for the test, $150, $200 for the test, maybe a vet visit on top of it. So you're in this for something between, I think, $130 to $250 is the price range that I'd expect to pay for an ultrasound. So there it is. That's all the information I've got for you, but I'm just going to recap on this. This is the one that I like. It is 100% no false. I've never seen a false positive on this. It's cheap. You can do it yourself. You don't have to go to the vet. You don't have to spend time. You don't have to expose your dogs to other sick dogs, and doesn't require a doctor's examination. What it doesn't give you is how many puppies are on board. And to me, that's pretty much irrelevant, because if she's swelling up as I'm getting closer to due date, I've got a really good idea if we've got a lot of puppies on board or whether or not we've just got a singleton. Hey, enjoy your dogs. Thanks for watching. And by the way, if you want to look at this particular product, you can go to mybreedersupply.com for that guy right there. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.